Hello everyone, this is Luis Mederos. As you know, we released the Modernized electronic handbook earlier this year. Soon we will be using the Modernized system for the solicitation development process, and this is the first time we will do it managed by the EHB. We're glad you're here joining us today as we demo the first release of the SolDev portion of the Modernized EHB. The goal of this webinar is to train you on the system, highlight the new features, and give you an opportunity to ask questions. As usual, once you are in the system, if you experience any bugs, please continue to report them to the REI Help Desk so that they can address any issues or add them to the backlog for any future fixes. We want to ensure the system meets our needs for this cycle and future ones. One quick note on the timelines. The review module opens tomorrow, Thursday, August 16, for CTTLs and topic managers to review and prioritize the nominated subtopics. We will send all users an email tomorrow morning letting them know that the system is open. The result of the reviews should be logged in the EHB in time for your MD and CTC boards. I will now turn it over to Casey Strugel, the NASA SBIR STTR program support rep, who is going to conduct the training and answer your questions during the Q&A section at the end of the webinar. Thanks again for joining, and over to you, Casey.
Thank you, Luis. Appreciate you introducing us today, and thank you everyone for joining us for the training today. I have with me here today Sasi, and he'll also help us with the question and answer session at the end. Today we'll be going over, as Luis said, the solicitation development, reviewing subtopic nominations. I will do a quick touch base on the solicitation development milestones, some key new features in the electronic handbooks, and then we'll walk through the key steps for the reviewing subtopic nominations activities that the MD and CTC will need to do to prepare for their boards and then putting in their reviews in the electronic handbooks. We'll also go through some learning and support options in the Modernized EHB. And at the end of the training today, we will have a question and answer session. Throughout each of the slides and each section that we have today, we'll have a question and answer pause for you to submit any questions that you have as we go. You can also add any questions throughout the presentation. In the Adobe Connect, there is a chat box that is displayed for you to add any comments in the right side of the screen, or for you to add any questions as we go. All right, so to get started, this training will cover the solicitation development review for the review of subtopic nominations capability for MD and CTC. The EHB modernization, we've taken a holistic approach, as many of you are familiar, starting with submissions and then review and selection and contracts, and now on to solicitation development. Through a phased rollout approach, we're modernizing the electronic handbooks with the goal of providing a user-friendly and intuitive system. But one of the key things we wanted to stress is if you have any feedback as we are implementing the Modernized EHB, we strongly encourage you to provide all feedback, even if it's through the question and answers today, but especially through the help desk. We are implementing user feedback recommendations in the system with every release, and I have a lot to show you today of user-provided feedback and recommendations and new features that you'll see in the solicitation development Modernized EHB. So as Luis mentioned, here are some of the solicitation development modernization milestones. Today we'll be covering the MD CTC or MDS-CTR review of subtopic nominations, which will be taking place between the 22nd and the 30th are those when the board meetings will be. You review subtopic nominations for Topic managers and CTTLs will start tomorrow morning. So you will all see an email that goes out, as Luis mentioned earlier, letting you know that that will be available. One important point we wanted to stress is that for CTTLs, they will be reviewing the STTR subtopic nominations, and for SBIR, the topic managers will be reviewing those. So as MDs, we do encourage you to communicate with the topic managers on the individual deadlines so that they can complete their review in time for your individual board meetings. Okay. And this is just for reference. We will be putting these slides in the learning and support section of the EHP. And this is for this year, the new standard solicitation development process. And this is just for this year's milestones, but some of the dates and key steps are included here. This is the same as we're in the MD board meetings as well. All right, so now on to some key new features in the Modernized Electronic Handbook. So the top three you've seen through the different sections of review and selection. We have an autosave feature, save time with streamlined pages, so the action items are on the same page as a list of items such as subtopic nominations. We also have session timeout notifications so that even if you're working on a document other than your electronic handbook browser, you can easily click on the timeout notification to stay logged into the EHB. Those ones you're probably familiar with. We have 3 new features that have been added from user feedback. One is quick access to action buttons, and another is my favorite, easily collapse and expand rows. So this was user feedback from review and selection. When there's a long list of items on a page that require work and the action buttons are in the expanded row, you can easily click this icon here, which I'll show you in a little bit here as we go through the demo in the system, to expand each of the rows and easily view the details of each item. Another new feature that's specific for solicitation development that we're excited to show you today is inline commenting feature, so that you can add comments on the nomination form. It's specifically tied to each field, and we'll show you how that works. Also, as you're familiar, we have learning and support throughout the electronic handbooks to help you as you work in your solicitation development, nomination forms. The help icon on the right, here's another place where we've added a feature for user feedback, is now the I can help icon has a X in the top right corner, so that you can minimize it to be a tiny little blue help box. We also have live chat with our help desk and help videos and reference guides and materials such as this PowerPoint presentation in the learning and support section. All right, so today we're going to cover navigating to solicitation development in the Modernized EHB, how to view the list of subtopic nominations, and then the key steps for the MD CTC review of subtopic nominations. If you have any questions so far, you can add them in the chat box in Adobe Connect, and we'll have a pause here in a minute. So to start with, we have how to get to the solicitation development. In the Modernized EHB, in the top menu, you'll see solicitation development, and you just click that to get to the solicitation development. Right now, you'll see 2 options: view nominated subtopics and review nominated subtopics. Okay, so steps for viewing the nominated subtopics. Click the first link here, view nominated subtopics. And now you'll see a list of nominated subtopics in a table view. Right now, you'll just see 2019 solicitation development in the top right corner. You'll be able to filter by MD, by lead center. You'll be able to sort. By default, the list here will show the subtopics that were nominated by you or assigned to you. And so that will be the default filter, will be my subtopics, but you can also change to all subtopics. There's also this field, the search text field, so you can search for particular subtopics, even if they're not assigned to you. In the details here, there's all sorts of detailed information. So the title, whether it's the MD, the STTR, there's also the category, subtopic manager information, and then the topic manager information. This is obviously a fake topic manager here. And the status of the nomination submission. So all of the nominations will be as submitted will be listed as complete here. And then you can also click View Nomination to view the nomination form. All right, if you have any questions on this page, please submit them in the chat box now. We will answer all the questions at the end, but just while they're fresh in your mind, you can add any questions. Okay. So next we have how to review the subtopic nominations. So this will be the steps for the MD CTC review. This is the step after the TM CTTL review. Okay. So first we'll go over the list page of the review list page, then the review of the nominations and go through the nomination form. And then we'll go through how to view any comments that have been provided by TM CTTLs and how to add comments. And then finally, the MD decision for the subtopic. Okay, so to get to your review task, we'll start with, from the main menu, select Review Nominated Subtopics. And then you'll be taken to the Review Subtopics list page. And at the top, there will be three sub-menu. There'll be one sub-menu with three options. Review nominations on the left is the TM CTTL review page. And in the middle, we have the MD review page. And then on the right is the PMO review. So for MDs, you'll select the middle option here for MD review, and you'll have the review nominated subtopics for MD. And this also is for CTC, and those will be listed as STTR here. So this list will default to your assigned, the subtopic nominations within your assigned MD. So in this example here, we have someone who is the MD assigned for SMD. So they'll see all the nominations for that mission directorate. You can also change the filter for MD to all, and then you can see all the subtopic nominations. Like the other page, there's a search field, so you can search for a specific subtopic number. And the subtopic numbers are actually here. So there's a subtopic information, there's the name, then the MD, and then the ID number there. And here on the right is the icon that I shared with you earlier, where you can expand and collapse all of the rows at once to see details. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You can also track the status. So the status here will be the status of your MD review. So if you've already reviewed this subtopic nomination and accepted it, the status will show as accepted. And you'll be able to filter by MD decision here in this field here. Okay, so now we'll expand the row to see the details. So once you expand the row, the header will turn gray. And there's a link here to the PDF, so you can download the printable version of the nomination form. But to get to the review of the subtopic nomination, simply click this button here, Review Subtopic Nomination. All right, so this is the MD Review Nominated Subtopic page. This is the whole nomination form. At the top is a link to the PDF. And that will be the downloadable print version of the version that you're looking at right now. So if there have been any changes by the TM or the CTTL, if they've edited any of the fields, or if you've edited any fields, you'll see those changes in the PDF version. We will also have a link here to the view history, where you'll be able to compare the version history of the subtopic nomination form. And that should be available pretty soon once you're in there working on your MD reviews. This here, the header, is a jump to sections. So the subtopic nomination form is going to get a little long. So to help you navigate through, we've added a few helpful navigation tools. So the basic subtopic information is the main information up here on this top section. Then to get to different sections, you can just click on them right here from this header, such as prior related subtopic information, the subtopic description, including the different scopes, and then the subtopic decision, which is at the bottom. For the MDs, when you come to this review nominated subtopic page, the comment mode will be enabled as on. And that's important to make sure this is on, because this is how you'll be able to see any comments that have been added, such as this one here next to the focus area, during the TM and CTTL review. I'll go over how the comments work in a minute, but just wanted to point that out here. The edit icon next to each field is how you can edit an icon, edit each of the fields. So if it's a pencil icon, once you click on that, you'll be able to edit that field and actually make changes right in the nomination form. Remember, there will be a version history, which will be available in the top here, so that you'll be able to see the different versions if you do make any edits. Okay, now we have a quick little cheat sheet. So these are helpful icons within the subtopic nomination form. In order to make a comment on a field, you'll see this chat icon, and that we'll show you how that works in a minute, but that's how you can add a comment related specifically to one field. And this is how you can provide recommendations for language changes once the subtopic, if a subtopic nomination is accepted, and then moves into the write-up phase. Right, Sasi?
Yeah, that is right.
Okay. And the edit field is how you can make edits directly in the nomination and for any of those fields. Now because the subtopic nomination forms this year were uploaded directly into the EHB through the PDF forms, the assigned users are editable. So there will be the option to delete an assigned user, which is the trash can, and the option to assign a user, which is a little person with a plus sign. And then the helpful, on the list pages, you have the easily collapse and extend the rows. And then another helpful icon is this circle with a up arrow. So as the nomination form gets long, you'll be able to click on that to go right back to the top. And these slides will be posted in the learning and support, so that's why we wanted to have this little cheat sheet of icons here for you. So once you click the edit icon, which is the pencil, like this one next to proposed subtopic title, then each field will become, the field that you selected for will become editable. If you do make any changes, make sure to click save. There's a save button at the end of each section, so make sure to click save so that your information has been saved, and you'll receive a little pop-up that says your changes have been saved. I think that one's on the bottom. All right. So here's the helpful tip for as you scroll down in the subtopic nomination form. This is what the little circle with the arrow will look like, and there will be a quick link back to the top. I like that one. It's proven to be very helpful. Okay, so now let's just do a quick pause. If anyone has any questions before we get into this comment mode section, please add any comments. Okay, thank you for the pause. Hope that wasn't too long. We wanted you to have a second to add some questions before we move into the cool comment mode. All right, so now we have how to provide and view comments. So as I mentioned, for MD reviews, on this page, the comment mode will be selected as comment mode on, but the TMs and the CTTLs, just for your reference, they will have comment mode off to start with so that they can edit any fields that they need to, and then they can turn the comment mode on, and then they will see the chat icons. So you will have this enabled already. If you click this comment mode button, it will turn off. You just need to turn it back on so that you can add comments for each field. Either way, you can make your decision at the bottom of the page, but this is just a helpful tip is to make sure comment mode is on. That way you can see any fields where a comment has already been added by another reviewer. for this nomination form. So the first one here, next to primary topic area, we have the comment icon has turned orange, and there's a number 1 to the left of the comment icon. This indicates that a comment has already been added, and if you click that, you'll be able to see the comment. But first, let's see how you can add a comment yourself. So here we have, under this field, the black chat icon. So if you click that, you'll be able to add a comment to that field. These comments will be used during the subtopic write-up, but they can also be reviewed during the SolDev workshop if they need to review these details. But really the goal here is to add comments on how to improve the language or any of the details of the nomination once it's moves to the subtopic write-up phase and it's been accepted. Right, Sasi?
Yeah.
Okay. So once you click the comment icon, as here on the left, then a comment box will show up on the right, and you can click and write a comment and then add your comment text, and then either click enter or click the add new comment button. And then the number 1 will be next to the comment, or number 2 if it's the second one, and the comment box will show up right here on the right. So it's pretty cool. So we're going to show you what it looks like. All right. Okay, so here we have the review nominated subtopics for MD. As I mentioned before, solicitation development, review nominated subtopics, and then MD review will get you to this page. So these will be all of the nominated subtopics for your MD. Okay, and then to review the subtopic nomination form, select Review Subtopic Nomination button. Also on this page, there's a helpful thing that was added from user feedback from review and selection is the return to the list of subtopic nominations. This button here will take you back to the page you were on before. So here is the subtopic nomination form. This is a link to download the printable version. The view history will be up here in just a few days' time. And this is the basic subtopic information. As I mentioned, this is how to add a role, an assigned user, and this is how to remove an assigned user. And the purpose of that being, since the nomination forms were added from the back, as PDF forms this year. So here, if we want to add a comment, when you click the comment box, the comment field window pops up here, and you can say, add your comment, and then either hit enter or add new comments. And now there's a number 1 next to this field, and if you click the icon, you can see your comment, and you can see that Kate added this comment. Now, once the nomination forms are accepted and they move to the write-up phase, the subtopic managers will be able to review all of the comments and take them into consideration to update any of the language. They can also mark them as resolved to show that they've addressed that feedback. One other important thing was you can actually highlight a line and then add a comment for that specific line. And then you can say, I like to come up with cool things like Iron Man type. So then you could add a specific comment and it will be highlighted to that line. So you could provide feedback on how to change that specific language. Okay, so then once a comment has been added, you can either, you see the highlighted section. Okay, so the number 1, and this is how you can view the comments if you click on the number 1. There it is, sorry. This is what happens when you use a test environment with a bunch of fake information. So once you click the number 1 icon, the comment will show up, and if someone wants to write a reply, they can actually write a reply to that comment if there's more than one person working on reviewing them, or if the TM has added a comment and you don't agree with it, or you have something to add, you can say like agree with this. Or don't, yeah, Sasi wants me to say you don't agree, but I think you might agree, so then you can write agree. There you go. All right, so that's how the commenting works. If you have any questions on comments, please add them in the chat box now, and we can go back over and show anything someone else wants to see. But now let's show how to make your MD decision. So for subtopic nominations, there may be more than one scope included in the nomination form. For each scope that's included, a decision must be made in addition to the overall subtopic decision. So here we have a screenshot of, at the bottom of this scope description, there is going to be a scope accept reject decision section. You'll be able to see what the TM CTTL decided and what their rationale comments were, what their comments were for that particular scope. And then here you'll make your MD decision. So you have to accept, reject, and then there's a decision reasoning for you as well for each scope. Now, remember, you only have to do this if you have more than one scope. If there's only one scope in the nomination form, then you'll just do the subtopic decision, which I'll show you next. Here you'll add your MD comments. Make sure to save each scope decision, and then click the row to expand the next scope, and then you'll see this at the bottom of each. I can show you what this looks like in just a moment. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So this particular subtopic nomination has multiple scopes. So within the subtopic description section, you'll see each of the scopes listed. And then at the bottom of each scope section will be the TM CTTL decision and then your MD decision here. And then you'll have your decision reasoning and your comments to add. And then each of the other scopes will be listed, and you can select and expand each row to make those decisions. So make sure to save each one before you move to the next scope. Now, at the bottom of the page is where the subtopic where you make your subtopic decision. The TM CTTL decision or recommendation will be listed here right above yours. So you can easily see whether they've recommended to accept or reject, what their priority is between high, medium, and low, and their rationale. Then for MD decisions, you have the accept and reject subtopic options and the rationale comments which are required. There's also the decision reasoning drop-down option and the priority, which you also must select. If you are sure that you're done with your decision, or if you're not sure that you're done and you want to come back and work on it later, make sure to click save to save your information. If you are done and you are ready to make your final decision as accept this subtopic, you can click submit to accept the subtopic, and then you will see a confirmation message at the top that will be green that says subtopic, that says that your decision has been completed. And then back on the list page, you will see that this particular subtopic nomination has been accepted. All right, so if anyone has any questions, please submit them now. that's the end of the main walkthrough. I can always show some more things if anyone has particular questions. We have just a few more additional pointers to cover. So as you're probably familiar with from previous EHP modernization steps, we have learning and support throughout the EHP. There's also the help desk phone number and email address available from Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern time. You can find the learning and support within the EHP through the little astronaut help icon, and there's live chat that's available as well. And the guidelines and reference materials, such as release notes, are where this presentation will live, where the recording of this presentation will live, FAQs, and release notes. Release notes are where we'll, the document that we'll be updating as features and user feedback are implemented in the system. So if you do have a feedback that you've provided and you want to check on the status of that feedback item, you can look at the release notes to see if it's been in the released new features. We do have a few additional trainings coming up for SolDev participants. On Thursday, August 30th, we have a training for the subtopic write-ups in the EHP, and that will be for all participants of SolDev. So from subtopic managers, topic managers to MDs like yourself, that's where we'll go over how the write-up process will work in the EHP this year, since that is new in the EHP this particular year. We'll also have a Q&A session for subtopic managers on September 6th as they start reviewing, or as they start working on their subtopic write-ups. Look out for a calendar invite for this. This is targeted for the subtopic managers, but feel free to join as MDs so that you can see what questions are being asked as they get filtered to you as well. If questions come to you, you'll be able to see what the answers are, and I think that'll be a helpful session. All right, now Sasi and I will move on to the question and answer session. I think we do have a few questions here. If you could just give us about 30 seconds to compile these questions, and then we'll answer as many questions as we can. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. We do have a few questions here that we're going to answer with Sasi's help. The first question is, where can we get these slides? And the answer is the learning and support in the EHP. We will have that posted in the next few days as soon as possible. And we can also send out the recording of this training to this group so that you all have it available to you directly. The recording of the other question we have is, can we play this training? And the answer is this training is recorded and will be also listed in the learning and support section in the EHP. Okay, next question, Sasi, this is one for you. Are the IDs going to stay the same from year to year for each subtopic?
Yes, they're going to stay the same for year to year for each subtopic. I just want to provide a little more details here. So we will have two numbers. One is when you actually look at the nomination form, you will see a number. Typically, maybe for ARMD, it would say A123, or for SMD, it would be S345. That's more of a temporary number that we associate to the nomination form, so you can refer to it quickly. That number is going to be randomly generated, as you start a nomination form and submit it. What's more permanent is the one that gets generated, which is more the final subtopic number. That's the number that's going to be posted in the solicitation. Typically the numbers will be A101, H1.02 or something like that based on the mission directorates. Those numbers get finalized during the SolDev workshop, and that's the number that's going to remain same year to year. And one of the reasons we want to keep it same is because you always have the option of creating nominations from prior years. So that's one of the reasons why the numbers will remain the same.
Okay, so there will be two numbers one is one that will be on the nomination form, and that one's temporary, and the other is the final subtopic number that includes the MD letter and then 3 characters. And that will be the same from year to year for each subtopic, and will be used in the SolDev workshop, right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Sasi. That's very helpful. Next question is, how do I download all the write-ups of all the subtopics in my search? Say I want all SMD subtopics to print out.
So we plan to use the document download tool to provide a PDF version of all the nomination forms. So as you saw on the screen during the walkthrough, we linked the PDF version of the form to the top header of the subtopic nomination. So those documents will be available in the document download tool. And let's take the case where the question says you want to search for lunar exploration. You would have a text box to search for it, and we would show you all possible matches. Then you would select all or specific PDFs, and then you can click on download to download the PDFs of the nomination forms. This document, it's similar to what you used during review and selection to download recommendation chart and other documents. So we'll be using the same tool here.
Okay, so you have the download document tool, and that will be available where in the EHP?
It will be on the solicitation development landing page. So from the top menu, you would click on the solicitation development menu. That will take you to the home page, landing page, where you would have things like the recently accessed widget and then the learning and support widget. So this would be a third widget that would be the document download tool widget.
Excellent. And that will be available.
We plan to release it within the around the middle of next week, before your MD board meetings start off, so that way you have all the documents ahead of time and prepare for the meetings.
One thing to point out with the PDF printout of the subtopic nomination forms is that the PDF printout will not include any of the comments. So to look at the comments, make sure to look at the subtopic nomination review page and have the comment mode on. That's the only way you'll be able to see the comments. So once we do have the download document tool and you can print out the PDFs, just remember the comments that are going to be added during the reviews for the subtopic write-up and language revisions, that will not be in the PDF form. Okay. Awesome. So next question is, are there pull down boxes for suggesting focus areas, etc.? Sasi?
Yes, all of those fields are drop down fields. So we populate all the focus areas from last year. You also have an option to select other if you do not, if none of them meet your needs. So you can select other. And during the SolDev workshop, or in fact during the PMO review, that's when we would look, they would look at the focus areas and make adjustments as needed. But when you are looking at the form, it's going to be a drop down with a list of focus areas.
So that will be in the basic information, right? So when you edit it, that will be a drop down. Yep. Perfect. So in the edit mode, it will be as a drop down. Awesome. Okay, next question is, it will be great to be able to download the data into a file. I think that's the one you covered.
Yeah, so we have two options here. One is obviously the PDF for PDF version is going to have all the fields. But we also plan to release a report, which is going to be the list of nominated subtopics. It's not going to have all the fields, but it's going to have the basic descriptor fields like the name of the subtopic, the name of the scope, the proposed year of the scope, and so on. Also the subtopic managers and topic managers, their email addresses. So the reports is meant for, like if you want to email all the subtopic managers, you can always get it from there. But if you want the complete nomination form, then we will have a PDF version of the nomination form available.
Okay, all right, so two options, the PDF form and then report, right?
And the reports will be available, we plan to release the reports tonight.
Okay.
So you should be able to see the report starting tomorrow.
All right. Excellent. So the next question is, who, when are the resolved, unresolved, etc. buttons used? I think this is in the comment feature, so I can show that if you want to walk through those use cases, Sasi.
So while Casey is pulling this up, the intent for us to use the comment feature was the use case that I want to describe now. Let's say the nomination form has been completed by the subtopic manager. The TM or CTTL provides about 2 or 3 inputs on the success factor, and then the MDs provide another 2 or 3 on the success factor. Now we allow the subtopic manager to come in and reply or address these comments, and then they would mark the comments as resolved. This allows, like let's say when you go back into the nomination form, for you to quickly see all the comments on the nomination form, or the ones that have been addressed by the subtopic manager, or the ones that haven't been addressed by the subtopic manager. So these are like quick filters to just quickly see, all the comments and how many have been addressed by the subtopic manager. So this is something we've introduced. This is a new feature, and we want to emphasize on the features and how it's going to be used, and we will see how the users use it and make adjustments as needed. But I hope I answered that question. Basically, all the comments. Unresolved would be the ones that the subtopic manager hasn't answered, and the way they would answer it is right next to the reply button. You would have seen a thumbs up icon, or that's you click on that icon to show that you've resolved the comment. So right below the reply, you see the thumbs up. That's where you mark it as resolved, and the cross is for you to dismiss. The dismiss option is only to the person who creates a comment. So basically, you type something and you think, okay, I want to delete it. The X is how you delete a comment.
Okay, so if you add a new comment, then the subtopic manager, when they're reviewing, they can mark them as resolved. And then all the resolved items will be listed under resolved, and the unresolved will be listed under unresolved, and then any that you've deleted, you'll see under dismissed. All right. Did we have any other questions on that? I don't think so. So do we have any other questions at all? All right, I think that's it for questions. We really appreciate you all taking the time today to join us for this training. If you do have any other questions, please do send them to our help desk at the sbir@reisystems.com, or give them a call at 301-937-0888. We're here to help as much as possible, and we're happy for you to join us today. So you've successfully completed the SolDev training for reviewing subtopic nominations for MDs and CTC. And as I mentioned, a recording of the training will be posted in the Learning and Support section of the EHB. And if we did not get to your questions,